Hey guys, welcome back to Nikkei. In today's video, I wanted to talk about Helm and a pretty cool strategy that you can do with her. She can actually maintain a 100% uptime of her crit buff, which is really nice depending on the team you put her in. Now, if you're running a charge team where you're focusing on charge damage, and stuff like that, it might not be as efficient, but if you're using her more as a supportive type unit, especially in teams with units that have high crit damage, it's going to be amazing. So basically, the main ability that I'm looking at in this bit is, and this is a base skill level, so at 0 skill ups, it's still an 8.65% crit buff for normal attacks, which, like I said before in my previous video, normal attacks are still where a lot of your damage comes from. Your burst skill is not the majority of your multiplier. You do get a lot out of basic attacks. Now, the next thing that I want to look at is how do we maintain this attack buff, and then I want to do a rough comparison of damage and talk about that. So if we go back over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the Union. Now, when we go into the shooting range, this is where I'm going to test it. She's got no gear, nothing like that. This is just a base level test. What I want to show you is first the 100% uptime, and then we'll go into a light damage test just to talk about it. So let's go here. So as you can see, when you play on auto normally, she's going to charge up. She's going to shoot it fully charged because the AI is really good at shooting it fully charged. And you'll see that when she shoots her last bullet, she gets this buff down the very bottom here. And then, it disappears. She does a few more shots. It comes back once she goes to reload. There it is. Now, that is going to be the crit buff that she gets. Critical rate of normal attacks increased by 8.55. As you can see, she spent about probably 4 to 5 seconds without that buff. However, and this is the key, what you want to do is you still want to leave it on auto. It's the easiest way to do it because the auto is really good at aiming. If you try and do it on manual, I suck at it personally. But what you want to do is, I'll show you here. She's going to auto aim and you're just going to tap your mouse. And if you look at that buff down the bottom, if you look at it, I stuffed that one up. But if you get good at it, you can actually manage. So you can see I'm trying to rush too hard, but okay, now this time, let's go. You can see we didn't actually lose that buff by the time it came back. Now I messed up one shot there, so it'll go away for a second, but then it comes back. So you can really keep an incredibly high uptime of this crit rate buff. And like I said, if you get perfect at it, it's going to be a 100% uptime like that one just there. But if you don't get, if you're a little bit bad at it, it'll be like a 95% uptime, which is really solid. Like I said, if you're using allies that have really, really solid crit damage buffs, something like Julia, even you got the crit or if you just got team units like burst 1 or 2 units that are buffing your crit damage, it's going to be really nice. Now, the next thing that I want to look at, we're just going to end this run here, is the damage difference for her specifically. And it's not that big of a difference. Obviously, you get the 250% scaling when you're fully charged, but when you're doing this, you are still getting a little bit of charge out of it. And from the bit of testing I've done is I find that her shots do about half the damage, but go about twice as quick. So let's have a look at a fully charged bullet from her. If she hits. So that did 18, and that one, we missed a crit. So you get weak spot crits, you get a bunch of different crits. But if I just go here, and I'm just going to hold it, let's put it here. And let's put a fully charged shot into this guy. Okay, it did a crit for 14. That was the main hit, was 14. Do it again. Yeah, about 1400 and something. I didn't see the little number. But if I put it on auto, get it to target him, let's do that again. And then we do these ones. You can see the crits are going from anywhere from 600 to 700. So that's 600, 700, that was an 800 one. But you can see that sort of crit range. So it's around, see, that's the 14. Now you get the extra little bit on top, but it's around half the damage when you're doing the spam. So this is a very interesting strategy that you can use. Like I said, if you're using a team that she's trying to do charge damage, you're buffing charge damage, maybe it won't be as efficient. But I think in general, I don't think it's going to change her damage too much, because the next thing I want to look at, we'll retry again, is the time it takes. So from when she starts aiming, then we'll start the clock. So here, she starts aiming straight away. So from 29 seconds, we'll call it. So we'll see when she starts reloading. So she starts reloading at at about 21 seconds from 29 seconds. So we'll call that roughly 8 seconds. Let's call it there. So now what I'll do is I'll spam on her next one. So we're at 10 seconds, we're at 9 seconds, we're at 8 seconds. And I messed that up and we went from 8 seconds to 5 seconds. So we do, well, obviously if we can keep 100% uptime on the buff and the buff's 5 seconds, that's between reloading as well. So you're actually emptying your clip in about 3 seconds. Let's go again. Dude, I keep messing this up. But like you're doing 4 seconds tops. So you're actually doing it in half the time, dealing half the damage. So I think roughly that we should be in that range where it's quite negligible to do it. So manual play with her, I think is going to be fantastic in a team sense, especially when you got everyone with crit damage up. So now let's just bounce out. And let's take a look at the kind of teams that I think this sort of thing will work in. There's a lot of units that buff crit damage, have crit damage specialists, but I also want to look at, some of the units that I think just really pair well with her. So if we go home here, let's take a look. Yada yada. So Nikke's. So firstly, obviously Julia. I'm a big fan of Julia. You guys know she wants as much crit as she can get because she's got this stacking crit damage buff, which at max skills gives her like 125% extra crit damage, which is huge. So she's really going to appreciate this. Obviously she has her own crit buff, but if you can get another 10% on top of that, plus your base crit rate, which I've been trying to calculate, which is around 15%, it brings you up to that sort of 40 to 50% crit rate just during this. Now you can get other buffs as well, but it's a really solid way to maintain that crit. So something like Julia is going to benefit. Now, even basically anything that doesn't operate off of using like focusing on charge damage and stuff, it's going to work well with. For instance, here we've got Scarlet. She's going to work well with it as well. She buffs her own attack damage. She buffs her own critical damage. So she's going to benefit. Basically, any damage dealer is really going to benefit. But like I said, the key ones, anything that is buffing your crit damage is going to be very vital. If we go over into the Nikkepedia, another example I think would be Miranda. I'm pretty sure she heavily buffs crit damage. So there's a lot of things, but you're just looking for anything that buffs crit damage. So she buffs whole team crit damage by 32.99% and then a specific target by 56.23%. So all of these effects, if you can maintain a 100% uptime of this buff while this stuff is going on, it's going to be pretty solid. And then the last one I want to look at is also going to be Privity, because if you have Privity, then during the burst phase, you can actually let her fully charge probably because she's going to have half the ammo capacity due to this ability here, which reload speed increased by 51% and magazine ammo reduced by 50%. So it means she's only going to have to fire 3 bullets, which you can probably fully charge them and still maintain that pretty high uptime of the buff. So that's just a bunch of things to think about. But like I said, it's cool when you've got different strategies that you can play on with manual inside the game to really affect characters in a different way. So that is my little strategy with Helm. Let me know if you guys do any testing with it, what you think. I'm not saying it's going to be a god tier strategy. I'm just saying that at base level testing, it looks like a fantastic option, and I will definitely do more testing and let you guys know. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.